Well, the problem really here is that the government is saying they can take things from you without any due process. That's part of one of the reforms I propose in here, is that if they want to take your land or take your gold or anything like this, you should get a trial before a judge. And that's what happened to this couple from Idaho. They had a lot. They put gravel on it. The government said it's a wetlands, and they said, well, how do we protest this in court? And the government says you're not allowed to, but you're going to be fined $75,000 a day. But this brave family fought it all the way to the Supreme Court, and you know how the Supreme Court's only got maybe 4 or 5 conservatives. The decision was 9-0 in their favor, to say that, for goodness sakes, if we're going to take someone's property, at least ought to be able to go to court and fight the government in court.
We have Mitt Romney coming out this weekend. Do we have the audio of him saying this? Coming out this weekend and talking about Obamacare, and to me, not making any sense at all. Do you have the audio or not, Pat? Yeah, here, listen to what he said.
As part of the federal plan.
Well, I'm not getting rid of all of health care reform. Of course, there are a number of things that I like in health care reform that I'm going to put in place. One is to make sure that those with pre-existing conditions can get coverage. 2 is to assure that the marketplace allows for individuals to have policies that cover their family up to whatever age they might like. I also want individuals to be able to buy insurance, health insurance, on their own, as opposed to only being able to get it on a tax advantage basis through their company.
Okay. The last one is not so bad, but pre-existing conditions, that's insane. Then insurance doesn't work anymore.
The problem is that anytime you mandate what insurance should and shouldn't cover, whether it should cover sex changes, stomach stapling, nose jobs, or pre-existing conditions, when you mandate that, you're going to increase the price of it because it doesn't come for free. So any mandates will make insurance more expensive. And really the biggest problem as a physician I heard from people is that insurance costs too much. So anytime you mandate something, it's going to cost more. The other problem is that if I can get it with a pre-existing condition, you're not allowed to charge me anymore. Why should I buy it at all? Why not just wait till I've got chest pain, I'm rolling into the ER, and then I'll buy it in the emergency room, and then I'll save a lot of money. That's why President Obama put a mandate in there, which I completely disagree with. But if you're going to have that you cannot charge people more for pre-existing conditions, it only works if you mandate it and if you put a penalty in there for not buying insurance, because no one's going to want to buy insurance if you get rid of the pre-existing condition thing.
Okay, so let me take you on this question, and hopefully you can answer it. Kind of, it fits in with government bullies. The president is now floating this new executive order by and saying they're going to control or protect the internet, of course, just to protect us, which would lead to all kinds of nightmare things. Earlier today, I said, Barack Obama, make no mistake, we got the best Barack Obama you're going to get right now. It's going to get spookier. In fact, I compared him to the crow that is almost in every single Stephen King movie that sits on the wire, just goes, ah, and then swoops down and pecks your eyes out. That's the guy we're going to have. However, with that being said, Mitt Romney's not my ideal candidate. What do you say to people who say, well, I got to vote for somebody else or just not vote because he's going to do a lot of the same stuff?
Well, I think that when Governor Romney is elected, I think he will be a lot better than what we have. I think we can't probably stand 4 more years. The country's going to hell in a handbasket, and I really think that many industries will be bankrupted within the next 4 years. I don't know that we can survive another 4 years of this president, so I want Governor Romney to win. When he wins, though, it doesn't mean that I give up any of my beliefs about how health care reform would occur. I'll be introducing my own health care reform, a replacement for Obamacare, when I get back in September to Washington. So I'll continue that fight. I've also said, and I put Republicans on notice on this, I will not vote for a Republican budget that does not balance within a finite time. I'm not voting for a budget that balances in 28 years because I think that is just a fiction.
I know everybody says it can't be done, but I don't trust a budget that's out of 4 years.
Yeah, it has to be done in a finite period of time. The balanced budget amendment that we passed, or that all the Republicans supported, said you had to balance within 5 years. You have to believe in eliminating some government agencies. You have to believe in sending some responsibilities back to the state, or you can't balance it. But I can tell you that if you just simply froze spending, you balance in about 9 or 10 years. If you do the penny plan that Connie Mack and I have introduced, it balances by cutting 1% of real spending a year, you balance in about 5 or 6 years. So it can be done, but I'm just putting Republicans on notice that I want Republicans to win. I am a Republican, but just because it's a Republican budget, I'm not voting for anything that is not going to balance the budget.
Does your income or your insurance replacement, your health care replacement, does that come with allowing businesses to buy health care across state lines?
Yes, and the unique thing, a lot of my reforms expand HSAs and get the consumer involved so the consumer will bid prices down. But the one thing I'm going to do that nobody else really has talked about is I'm going to introduce the concept of multi-year insurance. So when you get term life insurance and you get a pre-existing condition, your term life insurance doesn't go up. So let's say you have a heart attack today, but you've got a 20-year policy. The reason it doesn't matter whether you have a pre-existing condition is because you have a long-term policy. I want to do the same for health care. So a 25-year-old leaves home and gets a 30-year health insurance policy with a constant premium, but with a rising deductible. And I've had some insurance companies model this for me. We think we could do a $3,000 premium every year from age 25 to 65, but you start out with a $2,000 deductible that gradually rises, and you pay for all of your routine expenses out of that account, which through competition will bid prices down, but you'll always have catastrophic health insurance.
Well, Ren, I can't wait to see it. God bless. Thank you so much for standing tall on this and standing up for what is right, and then also being sane enough to know that we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, it's taken us 100 years to screw this country up. It's not going to take us one election to fix it.
Absolutely. And we're going to keep plugging away, and I hope the book Government Bullies will be read by a lot of folks because people need to wake up and be alarmed at what their government's doing to them.
I will tell you, thank you very much, Ren. I will tell you that if you read this book, that is exactly the way you'll feel, alarmed. And you should be. You want to wake up your friends and neighbors? This book is full of stuff that people will say, no way that happened. No way. Oh, no, yes, it is. Here, right here. We're doing our comedy special for the movie theaters here in a couple of weeks. And when I go out on the road, there's a couple of places where I talk about a couple of things that are really in this book. And every time I'm in front of an audience, my audience, they gasp. Oh, my gosh. And you can see people in the audience going, did you know that? Read this book, Government Bullies by Senator Rand Paul.